Main Street Advisory Board. This is for June 26, 2024. We thank everyone for being here. Everyone is accounted for, I believe, except for Jim Weeprecht for the city and Lauren Weeprecht for our Arts and Entertainment Committee. So, I guess opening statements. What we want to talk about today is we've got a couple of moderately big agenda items. We've got some new stuff. I think we've not had any big events in between that I know of that are up for discussion today. But we'll kind of roll through this agenda and see where that leads us. But hopefully we've got a little bit of forward momentum with this one and getting some of our processes in order. And then from there, we'll see how we do. So did everybody have a chance to review the 5:29 meeting minutes?
No, they were sent this morning, so no.
They were sent,
I got mine
yeah,
this
they were
morning.
before. Well, no, Mish sent them this morning. I had sent them, I want to say a week and a half ago.
Last Thursday.
Okay, yeah, so that's okay. If they were missed, I just didn't bring a copy of them. Do you have a copy of them?
It said we were getting copies this morning.
Just
in
of the agenda
email.
because the minutes were sent on the Thursday, the 20th
Okay.
now as well.
Just
Which
miscommunication.
that's
can-
okay,
do you want-
yeah. We'll
I
just
was going to print them, but it said that they were going to be provided. so.
Okay, so we'll just take a look. Beth, were you able to, any questions? I'm going to single you out, just, I know,
copy of
without. And that one, Sharon too, we'll give you some time to look at them. I'm not going to rush us through that one, so we can bump it down and you'll have some time to look at them just in case. And then Steph, anything that was in those minutes that you want to?
I am still getting online to access those minutes.
Okay, so that's okay. Let's just bump those down a little bit. That way you guys have some time to look at them. We don't need to keep them up
Really
there.
great to have. If there's going to be print copies of everything else, can we please get a print copy of those as well? If you're printing other stuff, we just
And then.
kind of odd just to have not one thing not
But would you
printed.
like me to deliver those?
I just think they should be delivered at
Just
the
have 'em
meeting
have 'em
with
at
the
Have
agenda.
them at the beginning, yeah, have them at the
I'm sorry,
beginnings.
I see. I thought you meant like, so the city clerk, for instance, for council members who want things printed, she prints them, she delivers them to their people's homes so they have time to review them.
That
I
is
didn't know if you,
not necessary. We are not city council, but.
I just thought if you wanted to review them, we could provide them before the meeting,
Okay,
printed.
so we'll have them. Let's go into giving you guys some time to look at those. Let's jump into the monthly discussion. So Mish has on here, what do we have? Hanging flower baskets. So super noticeable that the new baskets are up there. That was, I'm assuming somebody sitting at this table knows more than somebody else because they showed up and they look amazing.
People, citizens went out on their own after lengthy online discussions about how terrible the baskets looked that got put up by the city. And citizens took it upon themselves to replace them with their own money, their own time, and their own inclination. And I'd like to thank them very much for doing that. I think that reflects well on the grassroots effort that this body really does want to promote. So thank you to those people who took that upon themselves, and thank you to Justin for watering all the plants along the street and for taking his time and for being a part of beautifying downtown.
I agree. They do look tremendous. They look really good. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, it looked like, I know that Cedar Hedge had been holding on to our metal baskets that Main Street had purchased several years ago, and I saw they're back up, so I'm assuming they're the ones. Yeah, so I wanted to thank Natasha too for keeping them safe and keeping them together, because that was something certainly that wasn't something she had to do for the city, and she did. And then for bringing them back out. And then, do we know, I know there's still some on West Main that are missing
Baltimore Street, you mean?
Sorry, yes, that is absolutely what I meant. That are still missing some. Do we want to go ahead and look at, I don't remember where we originally got the first set of metal baskets. Do we want to make sure that we have enough
The
for
metal
all the
baskets,
poles?
in years past, when we purchased flowers from Cedar Hedge, they came in the metal baskets. So the metal baskets were part of what we paid for.
We paid for mail baskets one time, and they will be done every year. So Main Street bought the baskets through Natasha.
When?
Oh, it's been years.
Oh, because she sold me metal baskets also in 2021. So,
I'm trying to think.
Replaced, because if they were bought a long time ago,
Maybe they're
Yeah,
breaking down.
Metal
yeah,
rust.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe they're breaking down a
Oh.
little bit.
I-
the last time I was on the Main Street Committee is when they were purchased,
Okay.
and they were used for a couple of years. Because she told me when we were going back talking that she had the metal baskets, they just needed new cocoa liners. Now, we may not have bought as many as what we need now, but I know we bought baskets from Washington Street.
And that was, well, we're kind of jumping a little bit forward because that jumped into design committee, but since that one's a vacant committee, that begs the question, do we want to go ahead and ask Natasha if she still has access to those metal baskets, to go ahead and get enough to go the rest of the way down West Baltimore Street to make sure that everywhere that we had a hook on Main Street has a basket? Like, can we go ahead and get those baskets and pay her for those additional flowers so that it's all the way down Main Street?
what's in the budget for that? And we don't have a budget, we have no budget yet.
Right, we're
so
still
how are
working
we
on, right,
purchasing
we're still,
anything?
well, we're still pre-July 1st, so we're still working on the old stuff, so maybe,
Well, but we don't have any,
How
idea-
much
we
is
can't
left in the
vote
old
on
stuff?
anything, we don't know how much money is left to be able, and we don't know how much they cost. Like, we need to have some information in order to have a vote.
the amount of money currently in the bank account is $8,968.95.
Yes, so then we should buy the baskets.
Okay.
Important information.
and then that one, you are correct. Okay, so Jay, are you okay contacting?
I will
Cedar
today
Hedge.
go out and count how many hooks do not have plants.
Okay,
Or I would say live plants.
Oh, are there still ones that have the white ones hanging?
There was one down that way I saw.
There was one on Frederick Street that I saw. I don't have one in front of my property, so I don't know where the rest of them might
There
be.
was one down near the gun shop.
yeah, there's one just
I will
passed.
find out
Yeah, I think we had
how
taken
many-
ours down before vacation.
How many there are that don't have metal baskets and order some?
Okay, so. And I'm gonna say, and everybody's okay with moving forward to ask Cedar Hedge to do that? Because I think they really, if that's where the other ones
That's
are
the
currently from.
consistency.
They've looked good in the past, and I think that they look good now. So if that's the current,
That's the thing, she knows the,
that's the
she knows the
current momentum.
environment
Yeah.
that the plants have to survive in on Main Street. That's why her baskets have done so well, is that she understands, you know, there was one of the white baskets that did well, and it's because it was hanging underneath of a tree, because they were shade plants. And so, you know, so she really understands how the light hits the street, at what time of the day, and she can really design the baskets to be appropriate for the space.
Okay.
Do her baskets come with the watering tubes in them? Because I know there was a discussion about that as well.
And this one I didn't see a wiring tube in, but other years they did, we can talk to her
Yeah.
about that. But
So I'll ask, when you talk to her, Mish, can you ask her about the watering tubes?
it may easier.
See if that's something that we need to add in at the same time. Okay, so then, new businesses. We've got a couple new businesses that are cropping up on Main Street. So the first one is Candy Quest. That's gonna go in where it used to be, if anybody's familiar with when it was Priscilla's was down there, and then it changed over to,
It was the Simple Life
it was
most
the Simple
recently.
Life, yeah, it was the
Until very
Simple Life.
recently.
It's had a couple of different businesses in there, and now it's going to be an old-fashioned candy store that'll be down there, so.
I don't know how old-fashioned. One of the things that they said at the Carol Biz Challenge is that they hope to be able to do almost instantaneous candy delivery, so that from your home, you will be able to order candy. And I think that their long-range plan is to have people on e-bikes who will deliver it to you promptly. No word on what they plan to do in February and January when it's a little cold, but they're aspirational. So I anticipate, my impression is that it will be both a candy store that you can stroll into, as well as that residents can order from, or visitors, presumably.
This Main Street's getting serious. We have sugar on tap. Like, you can just order it, sugar to your door. I know their kids are very excited. So, again, local families opening local stores, their kids are involved. That's gonna be neat. The second one is Stickies. It's Little Stickies. So Little Stickies is a snowball trailer. The purple polar bear is typically at the other end of town. That's the one that was there at Grandma Jem's prior to them taking that building down. So they are still in town. They have gone mobile, and they've been really great about going around to some local events and keeping in touch with everybody in town, even if they're working outside of town. And then Little Stickies will be a more permanent snowball fixture down at the other end of town, just off the square at the, it's had the barbecue trailer there, but it's also gonna have the snowball trailer as a fixture.
Is that zoned for a building of that sort?
It is.
Okay, just,
Yep,
Will
Yeah.
it be adhering to the design standards?
it will. Yep, that one is actually a commercial lot, so it goes into all the commercial zoning. It's already zoned for everything. It had structures prior to, so adding structures onto it now are a non-issue.
how big will the structure be?
The structure is about 18 feet long, and
And where will it be placed?
it is, I don't remember which direction it's gonna go, but it's
Will it
got,
block other businesses from being visible from the street?
not that I'm aware of. No more or less than it's been before, and no more or less than it was when it was zoned commercial. You know, I mean, I know as long as my deeded property is zoned commercial, so it had a building before, so a building can go back. The only piece I know that we're very, very aware of is not blocking the businesses on the street right behind it. So we're pretty well aware of it and trying to be pretty conscientious about it.
So,
That way, there's some direct view there.
so, Jay has made comment before that One York has had a substantial investment from the city. Where, if that opens, when that opens, where will those people park?
So there's a lot of businesses right there at the square, and again, the One York West Baltimore lot isn't a parking lot. It wasn't designed as a parking lot. It's been used as a lot to park in before, but that is not, it doesn't have the dimensions that are correct to be an official parking lot. So that was never the design of that space, but I would tell you the street parking is all there, the church lot that, the city is in conjunction with, same as all the other businesses right there. People are willing to walk a little bit to get to something that's worth walking to. They park and walk to the dance studio. They park and walk to the gun store. They park and walk to, they're gonna park and walk to the barbecue trailer. They park and walk to the snowball stand. So,
Yes, they park in the $9 lot, and then they walk to those places.
and that one, well, and I think good city signage. So maybe we look at good city signage, because we too had similar issues where people were using our lot as parking for different businesses. So that, some of those planters and concrete ballards, some things like that are good deterrents, just so that people get used to knowing where parking is and where parking is not. But I would tell you, I think.
Driveways and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I would tell you, it's just kind of getting people
Private
used to
alleys.
knowing, exactly. I think it's getting people just used to knowing where to go and where to park. Because certainly the intention is to get all of these businesses open, which means it's not something that we can't not address. Obviously, they're gonna park somewhere, so we need to make sure it's not on private properties and private residences.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that you think people will park and walk to businesses on the square, because that is one of the things that we have been told is the reason we will not be successful at One Frederick, is that no one will park and walk. So I'm glad to hear you say that.
No, I think it's gonna be immensely successful. I would tell you, all the other businesses that are on that square I know the print shop doesn't have an issue, the gun store, dance studio, no anchovies, their ice cream store. None of these places are having a problem with people parking and making it to them. It's about how desirable your business is, and if it's worth walking to, people will make it happen.
Good destination. So-
Exactly.
So if you want foot traffic, you'll have some, that's where Taneytown hurts.
Yeah.
Destination stores, yes, but
Yes.
people going to those places don't come down to my store. They don't go to Amy's store. Because if we're not on a destination, they'll go, look, we need places. So people,
them.
they draw people, and that was my biggest comment from my event on Saturday. A few people came from Westminster, from the arts community. Taneytown's a great place, but you guys gotta do something with it.
Yeah, what's there? Once you get there, what's there?
It's that, and that's what,
Yeah, but-
that's what this body is supposed to be all about, is to helping revitalize downtown so that businesses want to locate in the storefronts that are in some cases currently being used as apartments. We need to help flip that script and make sure that the investors want to come and spend their money here to create the spaces, to build the shops, to make the accessibility, so that they can then put the stores in that will attract the people. We are, you know, we're still back here trying to build this infrastructure, and we need to make all these changes. We can't just talk about signage, we can't just talk about what we want to do. We have to actually make the changes in the community down here that will allow this to happen, and we need to cooperate with all of the stakeholders in order for that to happen. That is the key. If not, we're just spinning our wheels. If we're not willing to actually take the steps that need to be taken to create the environment, then we can have all the promotions and all the sales and all the days in the world. Right. And people will not come because there is not enough to draw them. We need the critical mass, and we need to create the environment. And right now, we're still struggling with that. We don't even have a plan to move forward. We can't even get our rules of operation on paper.
So hang on, we're moving, we're moving forward. So let's jump back to new businesses, 1 Frederick Street.
Do you have any update? I've been asked more frequently in the last 2 months about 1 Frederick Street than in the year before, and I think that is because
So just a check-in.
people were maybe seeing Justin inside doing work, and I didn't know if there was any, I know to put you on the spot, and you're
It
obviously,
would have been great
you're obviously
had
not Mark.
anyone asked the actual proprietor of the business prior to this moment.
Oh, that's fair, totally fair.
And we don't have, no, we
yeah, we
don't
can
have
do
to
next
talk about,
round.
yeah.
Yeah.
we don't have to talk
You know,
about
he
it
would have
now
been
at all.
here. He is out currently because, congratulations to Justin and Lauren. They just had a baby.
that's awesome.
So Justin is at home with the baby, and so Mark is out watering all the flowers right now. So he will be here, and during public comment, we can certainly speak to what is happening at 1 Frederick Street if we can have more than 2 minutes.
Perfect. And then I guess since we're putting that one on the spot, we might as well throw 1 York on the spot, because that one's gonna be just as kind of the same. So that one does have some city investment, and that one, I would say, shy of Bobby watching this, I think we're about 90 days out, probably. We've got some contractors coming in, so they're doing work in there, and they're doing really the end pushes. So we're talking about floors and ceilings and painting and things like that happening inside, which is pretty exciting, because it really looks like a good finished space again that isn't gonna fall apart on the city. And then back to the Stickies lot, that one has electric. So it's not ever, to my knowledge, at least since way prior to Streetscape, had electric there. So that opens up to some of the things that Main Street can do and what the city can do, because now there's actually electrical options there, where if we're having events or we're doing something downtown, there's some other things that are available to Main Street that were not before.
What's the timeline for the snowball building stand?
The tentative, right now, we're waiting on on Potomac Edison to come in. So Fern Roddick Electric came in and did the electrical work. And then Potomac Edison's gonna come in and do the hookup from the electrical boxes back to the Main Street power line again and get it back on the grid. But it looks like their tentative was July 5th, was the best date that I knew of, as of this morning. So hopefully it's right there. And their backup date to that really sounded like it was the week after. So we're not talking about months and months out. That one should be pretty relatively quick that it's happening.
Are you able to share what kind of establishment is going in at 1 York?
So 1 York is set up as a restaurant. Right. So we're look at it as a downstairs and an upstairs. Upstairs will be a private something, we just don't know yet. The downstairs is what's completely renovated at this point, and that one it's zoned as a commercial restaurant. Right. So a restaurant is really what it needed to be. Yeah. So that's the plan, to put seated restaurant space back in there. So we'll see. We're not planning on owning the restaurant portion of it. We're just going to complete the building and get it really renter ready again, and then we'll be able to lease
So
that space
that's
back
what's 90 days out, is getting it renter ready, not having
Having it
actual.
renter ready, right. So
okay,
tenants, yeah, there are potential tenants in there, but we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. We're still a little bit ways out from that one, but it could be, it could be anything at this point. But hopefully something that really fits in with Taneytown, and kind of something that's not already here.
Got it, excellent.
So that's the goal.
And is there a timeline on the Candy Quest store And who's the owner of that?
There's a gentleman named Chris Pillar, Pillar, whose endeavor that is. Truthfully, he told me July 1st. That seems awfully optimistic from my perspective. My experience, though, from Cinco de Mayo to Bellisimo's to anywhere, is that the getting the permit, or rather, getting the approval from the county for what you want to do with the space is really the holdup. So I don't have anything better than his estimation of July 1st, which I'm telling you from my professional experience is unrealistic.
Yeah, but when you tell somebody they can't do it, watch them.
Legally, yeah, that's one thing.
Yep. All right, and then jumping into any other new businesses, actual new businesses that anybody knows of? Okay. Committee reports. So design, Lauren emailed over her, or no, sorry, that one was vacant, that we talked on the flowers. Promotion, Sharon.
So I handed out my report. I do have, it's in two parts. So I wanted to provide, first, wanted to ask about Second Saturday planning and the status of the upcoming plans for them, if what's been published, where we are with a playbook, and a status on that from Jay.
Yeah. So the upcoming one is America the Beautiful. When you think about America or sort of the 4th of July-ish holiday celebrations, oftentimes people think about food contests. In the very beginning, I was thinking about a hot dog eating contest, and somebody pointed out to me, how on earth do you know how many hot dogs to buy? Lois from Stonehouse has suggested, or rather agreed, to provide pies. I think that possibly Deja Vu Amy is the one that said, what about a pie eating contest? Later today, we're going to open up registration so we know how many pies to get. We're going to do it right here in the parking lot next to City Hall. We're going to have tables and chairs set up. And then also, what is more American than karaoke? So there's a fellow named DJ Yeti who's going to do karaoke, and you're just going to be able to come on up to the City Hall parking lot and sing. Something that is low-key, doesn't compete with the local businesses, and hopefully get some people out and about on what will likely be a very hot Saturday.
And when is what are the plans for promoting?
Yeah, I think it was before the last meeting we had. I made second Saturday events for all of them through October, so those are out there. And I am happy to hear advice on how to promote them, whether you think having the elected officials share that event out, or partner organizations asking them to share it, or doing paid advertising. I'm certainly open to what you think best.
Should be shared to all of the community pages as an event. It should be, we should be inviting people to like and follow the Main Street Taneytown page frequently in every opportunity. It should be on our website whenever that is operational. It was.
Can that be,
gotten
can we
anyone
do a
on that
push
yet?
notification on Taneytown Connect?
It should be on Taneytown.
I don't know about a push notification. I think that the
It should
worry
be on the
there
event
is,
calendar.
what's that?
It should be on the event calendar.
Yeah, something, just some kind of an indicator that there's,
Right.
It should be on the Carroll, it should be on all of the Carroll County pages, event pages. It should be out on
Carroll County Tourism.
tourism. It should be
You
out.
have a list of what the Carroll County pages are.
Just look for them. I see what pops up in my feed, and I don't
just a good Google search
I don't
on.
keep a lit. It's not even.
Okay.
You just go on Facebook and you search Carroll County community pages, and you have to join them in order to send stuff to them.
You're talking about Facebook?
I'm talking about Facebook
Okay.
because that's
Okay.
primarily what that's our main social media. But it should be on the community, the Carroll County Chamber events calendar, which you can, as a member, you post to on your own. Really, any events calendars that you can that you can find.
And even separately from the Facebook, you know, the Facebook avenues, there's also the Carroll County Tourism website has a
right.
full calendar.
Right.
Carroll County Times has a full calendar, and both of those are free to submit to.
Okay.
There's also, the Community Media Center does a what's happening this weekend push where they are actually gathering. You don't really send things to them, but they find things in the community and they do a post toward the end of the week, like on a Thursday or a Friday, highlighting activities around the county. Sometimes you can find yourself in that. But it's really about networking and just telling the story, keeping these, inviting the community to come to this through the event, inviting all of those followers to come and inviting them to share it.
And then we did, speaking of events, how, the flowers, I'm reading through your committee report. So it looks like with the flowers, it did not seem to be that there was increased business necessarily.
Okay, 6 people.
But but it looks like communication, open communication would have benefited
So to go
benefited
through,
that
to
event a
go
little bit.
through the report, we got some very interesting, the community started the discussion about the flower baskets. Several of us jumped in as committee chairs and identified ourselves as such. Some people jumped in as committee members and answered questions and really made comments back to kind of to fill that void of communication, because in most cases that's really how rumors get started, when something happens and nobody says why or what's going on. So we were really able to take that opportunity and engage the community with what we are doing as a Main Street Board and what the intent is and how they can get involved. You see something you don't like, come and join us and help change it.
I have 2 new volunteers.
And, we got, we started conversations with people and we were able to engage the community around what we're trying to do. So we turned something negative into a big positive, and I was really very happy with that. Around the merchants, thank you to Paul, who has been really outstanding in speaking with the merchants and keeping getting that pulse of what's happening right downtown with the downtown merchants and getting that feedback. I pulled some comments out of some emails that have been shared around the Second Saturday events, starting with the most recent. Rust experienced 4 visitors for flowers, but nobody bought anything. The Old Red Truck was given 96 vases. By 6/12, had 24 left. Don't really know where they went. They didn't seem to show up in stores, based on the reports of the low numbers of people coming in for flowers. But their sales were no different.
And that seemed kind of the theme as I looked down through them. It looks like sales really didn't change a whole lot.
I think Taneytown Barber did well they got some exposure, but, they were booked. You have to, book an appointment. So, but it's good that they got some exposure and some people seeing that they're there. Ambassadors, 5 new customers for flowers. He did have 3 purchases. But, no sidewalk drawings, and I didn't see the vases. George's on York is not engaged in this, it seems, so I didn't even know that there were vases and flowers being handed out.
I didn't know until the day before.
Right, so,
And that goes back and say, I look at the events that are posted out on Facebook, it says Second Saturday, nothing else. What else is going on? Are you saying we're handing out free flowers? Are you saying we're having a pie eating contest? You have to advertise the event.
So maybe what I'll do, Lauren is not here to speak on this one, so maybe what we can do is ask her for an increase in information
right. So
on what their committee is putting out there for each second Saturday.
And some notice the day before, doesn't do
What's
it.
happening? Well, those events have been posted, I know, on Facebook for a little while, so the idea that there's, hang on. The idea that there is an event happening is there. What it sounds like is missing is the information and the content that goes with it.
The posting of the initial
right,
event, because if you're not continually advertising and amplifying that information, then it's way down on somebody's feet.
The post is the start, and to create a post that just says second Saturday is, the second Saturday, that, each one should have its unique identity. So it shouldn't just be a repeat of an event that's happening every second Saturday from this date to this date. It should be second Saturday, America the Beautiful. Second Saturday, Zoom Zoom. Second Saturday, welcome fall, whatever.
Yeah, that one to me was a little, right, it just didn't have enough.
We
I didn't know
need to-
why should you go?
Right, well, you need to make each one, it should talk about what each event features. And I know that I had said in the beginning, let's get these events up, but then they have to go back and be edited. And they need to be, need to be, we know the themes for all of them, so that should be at the start of, at the headline of each one. Even say second Saturday, Taneytown, Main Street, something in the title that does.
Say you probably can't see it. Second Saturday, September, food, glorious food. Second Saturday, August, vroom vroom. Second Saturday, July, America the Beautiful. So we do have that.
Within the title?
Yep.
Okay.
It's in the title of the
Let's do
event,
this,
so.
because now, right, we're talking more about workshop stuff and committee stuff now. So we know that this stuff is important, and we'll move past it and let Lauren's committee work on it, and Lauren can get in contact with
Happy
you
to
and Jay. That way you guys
Sit
can,
with anybody and
Yeah.
go through how to best. do
yeah,
some
that
of
way
these
you
things.
guys, you're exactly right. What do we do to promote past that initial post? And that's really a good inter-committee conversation.
Right, you can meet, I have some comments going back to the May second Saturday event. You can read through those.
And Sharon, I'm sorry, I have one correction.
Yes, please.
So the Flower, Wine, and Jazz Festival were in June.
Oh, okay.
So we did not have a market that day because we wanted to encourage folks to go down to the wine festival. But this comment stands true for May, that we had almost no customers
Right.
on that second Saturday event, and we have not been invited to participate. So
That was the Westminster Jazz Festival.
Yes,
Yes,
that was Westminster. That's why
Westminster,
that was,
yep,
and I
yep,
didn't
yep, yep,
specify
yep,
that
yep.
was Westminster.
Yep,
Sorry.
you're right,
I
sorry.
should have specified that. And that's another issue, is looking at the bigger calendar and what's happening in the community. We had a second Saturday event the same day as the wine festival, and in our own town.
Right, and I've noticed that
Which,
too.
know-
Having open lines with Lorena is a big deal. And making sure that, I've noticed the city, the Park and Recs Department does not seem to really have a good handle on making sure that those conflicts aren't happening or preventing them from happening as a forethought.
And we need to be
So,
doing the same.
Yeah, I want to make sure that, right, that the city's really working with us as far as that's concerned.
So I certainly
and make
don't
sure those
want
events go
to, I have to sort of comment, Madam Chair. So Parks and Rec doesn't seem to have a good handle on preventing conflicts. Lorena's schedule is really, really intricate, and she publishes it at the end of December every year. So I definitely don't want to say that she is not, preventing conflicts, because I never want to make it
Not
sound.
as far as
Nope.
when events are
Sure.
happening.
And
right,
then
what's pulling from events
So-
while they're happening. We heard some feedback from the Wolfstock also, and
Not our event.
right, wasn't our event, but yeah, you're talking
means
about
the
Parks and
Sure.
right,
So,
Parks and Rec, and what's happening on Main Street versus
I
what's
don't
at Park
think
and Rec,
that-
what's happening.
I don't
between.
think that an event in the park is a reason not to support the Main Street businesses. I understand that there is, the Wine Fest and there are vendors there, but that doesn't mean that, the barber shops aren't still open, Stonehouse and Country Kitchen aren't still open, Rust, Deja Vu, and so on and so forth. And I think that the idea that we should stop trying to encourage people to shop there because there's another event it would be doing a disservice,
We're
frankly, to the
thinking,
business.
I guess from a Main Street perspective, our concern is not that so much as it is, how do you have crossover between the two? And if someone's at the park, is there potential for them to then be on Main Street, that we could be building events up on Main Street at the same time and making those things work together? Not so much a one versus the other or an and or, but more of that if Main Street has a better open communication with Parks and Rec, when we know what's actually going on at different events, or we know who's in attendance at different events, that we can kind of cater some Main Street things, or Main Street programs around some of that stuff that the city's already doing.
Right, yeah. It's about cooperation and.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, in Frederick, because I'm still in email chains, they are having a difficult time because of Carroll Creek being leased out to so many different events. Patrick Street, Market Street, the businesses are dying because they're bringing in the city's not working with the merchants. They're leasing out this park and destroying I saw it a year ago, that's why I left. But and it hit Market Street first, now it's hitting Patrick Street, the main street, and it's bad. People, their sales are really low. They had a Wednesday night, shopping strip with craft vendors on the streets, and that actually brought more business up into Patrick and Market. But that's what's happening everywhere. In Taneytown, it's always been an event at the park, nobody comes to Main Street. And it's always, you're gonna be busy. I kept being told, you're gonna be busy, and nobody comes in. They go to Memorial Park, and they never come to town.
Right, giving them a reason to come, giving them a reason to be at both.
But
At the same time, I think it's important.
Second Saturday, we need to give them a reason. Party contest is great. 3 flowers can give them a reason to come to town.
Right.
I got neighbors walking down the street, oh, you have 3 flowers for me?
Right.
They were my customers.
And I would tell you, I really saw an increase when we did there at a Small Business Saturday. For what it's worth, there was increased traffic on Main Street that day because there were activities.
Yep.
It wasn't so much a, hey, here's a freebie, we're thinking about you kind of thing.
But
It
it
gave
was
families a
promoted.
reason to come out
And
and
that
do
is
something
a-
together, which I noticed was a big, that was different.
That is a well-established day to shop on your main streets. And that has been going on for years. So, some of these things, we look at them and we think, oh, well, we want what that community has. We want to be able to do what that community does. Why can't we do, if we only did bigger events? Well, it's not about the events so much as it's about what we've got to offer right now, where we're putting our energy. And we want our businesses that are here now to be successful, and we want to build them up, and we need to bring people downtown, but we also need to be looking at what else do we need to be doing to create the environment to build, to have more businesses, because it's about, if I'm coming to a small town and I see 4 shops are open, one over here, one over here, one over here, one down here, I'm less likely to go wandering up and down the street and poking around than if there's 16 shops and there's 8 here and 8 here, and I can go from and do, and I can stop for coffee and I can get this and I can, oh, this is really cute, this is a local maker. That's what we're striving for, but we're putting the cart before the horse. We're creating things that are successful in other towns because other towns have more things to offer. That is just the bottom line,
building
and
the
we've got to focus on building up our infrastructure in order to attract those people that will supplement and support those people who are already here, those of us who have already invested our money and our time and our energy to build this community. We need to add to that, and that's where our, will these be successful? Yes, they will, when we have the environment to make them successful. From a promotion standpoint, that is what needs to happen. I just want to say, just to end my report, because I know I'm going too long, I'm trying to set up a meeting with a local publisher to discuss options for the future of the Taneytown Record. And we'll report on that after I can get that meeting scheduled.
Which publishers are we looking at?
I'm looking at a publisher out of Gettysburg. And then, just like I talked to the publisher down in Sykesville for the magazines, I just want to see what their costs are. But in order to have this conversation and move forward with this, I need to know what our budget is. I need to know what our cost per issue is. I've asked for numbers before on all of this. What's in the proposed 2024-25 budget for Taneytown Record? What are we looking to spend if we are spending?
We're
We
looking to
don't- yeah, we
generate
don't-
revenue.
Well, hang on, we don't need them necessarily this second, but do you have that information?
Yeah, I have like the invoices from,
And
yeah.
you can get that over to Sharon,
I
so
need-
she can reference that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about what we're hoping to do. I want actual factual, I need numbers. So I can say, we're currently spending X.
Nothing.
Beth has that information
The
too.
workshop prepared with that information.
Okay.
For the budget purposes. I will get that.
So before we even have that conversation, I think there's a bigger question on the
Okay,
table,
hang
right?
on, Stephanie, let's hear it.
Are we in charge of the Taneytown Record? Because, there was this kind of conversation where it's the city's paper, but Main Street pays for it. And then in the last council meeting, we were kind of accused of not being responsive, which is completely untrue. And so I think that's the first question on the table is, are we in charge of the Taneytown Record?
So the
Because
city-
if so,
right, the city gives money to Main Street, Mish, correct me if I'm wrong, but the city does give money to Main Street, and it is flagged for that paper.
That it's flagged for the paper isn't necessarily accurate. From the beginning, no, not the beginning, in 2021 when I got here, there was $6,000 a year in the city budget, in the Economic Development Department budget, listed as postage. That money was spent, $1,000 every 2 months, to mail the Taneytown Record. It was spent on postage. Separately, the city also gave a $10,000 block grant to Main Street. I zeroed out the postage $6,000 line to bring that into Main Street, to the record, so it was self-sufficient and not, for instance, an inflated thing showing profit when really it was being subsidized by tax dollars. And when I gave the $6,000 back to the general fund budget, I said, also, our $10,000 block grant hasn't increased in possibly 20 years. Can we have a little extra? Can we have $12,000 a year instead of 10? So they upped that.
Are there any specifications on that block grant from the city? Okay.
Nope.
So the money that comes in, that whole lump sum of money then, so that the intention from the city's perspective sounds like that's to fund a Taneytown Record of some sort.
No, it was just like, hey, I'm giving you money back and making the Taneytown all self-sufficient. Can we have $2,000 extra? So the $12,000 is to make Main Street great again.
Okay, so that is money that can be spent however Main Street sees fit.
Well, I mean, not on a vacation to
Well, no,
Aruba.
however Main Street sees fit for the mission of Main Street,
Yeah,
yes.
That's fair.
So these are the things that are great to have information about.
Right, now the
So-
postage that was in there, the postage, was the original intention of that postage to cover also the mailing on the city's water, like when they were putting out their water report? Because I know that came up as a point of
the
contention.
water report went into the Taneytown Record, and the Taneytown Record mailing was paid for by that money. So it wasn't a separate mailing, it was in the newspaper.
It was, but for that postage, was that the intention of the city? Was
It
that?
wasn't $6,000 because you have to do the water report. That was not what that was.
I guess the bigger question was, should we be looking at money, not that I'm giving budget money away, but if that's being mailed separately from Main Street and we're kind of separating those two things, was that postage money that the city is gonna say, well, hey, instead of giving you $12,000, we're gonna give you 11 next year because we had to mail out our own?
I
That's a city.
don't know what the
And
city's
maybe that's
going
for
to
us. I'm getting ready to meet with the council. I can ask them that because that's
If it's a block grant with no specifications,
it is not, but that was the council's concern. One of their concerns was that report being in our record versus not. And if we're not gonna put out the record on the same schedule that they're putting the water quality report out in. And I know the Parks and Rec had their event calendar out in that one as well. So if those are things, I just want everybody to be on that same page and have that good conversation, because I want it to be very clear who's doing what so that we avoid these conflicts.
Let's talk about what gets published in the newspaper. All right, what gets published in the newspaper is news. If the news is the city has a water quality report, that can get published in a newspaper. If the news is Parks and Rec has a calendar of event, that can get published in a
The
newspaper.
city is bound
So,
by rules on
then-
when they have to
then the
publish
city
it.
needs to figure out how and when to get their own water quality report out.
And that was the
That is
question.
not
If we have a
the-
schedule.
That is not the
Right.
Main Street's purpose to send out the city's state-required material.
So maybe if
That's
it
up to them.
coincides, right, maybe if it coincides when we're sending our paper or what our schedule is, we could include it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
There's
in
no
the
reason
event that
not
it
to.
doesn't coincide, the city can have a backup plan to send
be a
it out
grown-up
like
and
they
do it
did this
itself.
time.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I understand. But right, again, everybody being on the same page where we're saying, hey, this is something we don't mind doing. Main Street is not gonna say we won't do it.
It's not about doing, it's
But-
about what gets published in print in a newspaper. So by my pushing, and Stephanie, you're absolutely right, we need to have that conversation. What I'm trying to do is push forward a little bit to bring back some information so that we can add to that conversation of when we figure out what we're doing with this.
Yep.
And are we looking, when you're
Publication.
talking to local publishers, do you have any aversion to being able to, because I feel like I really want to know if we were getting it done in town, I'd like to know what those numbers and that publishing looks like.
I would love to, if I could get. I would-
Gettysburg, if you're looking at Gettysburg, get Gettysburg's, and then also Emmitsburg.
This is like an RFP. I'm looking at this like an RFP, right? We have a request for proposal to have our local newspaper created and covered by somebody, whether that's a magazine, a newspaper.
And I think too,
it's
talking to
printed every
Emmitsburg
day,
and saying that they have
whatever.
it established. So what does a
They are published in
collaboration?
Gettysburg.
Yeah, okay, so the one from there is published from the Gettysburg one. Okay, good, because I want to know what that collaboration looks
And
like
that's what I'm
too.
trying to get that information to report back to this body because I feel that that does fall under the promotions committee. And I also added, just in case people missed it in my last report, the strategic planning model that we need to get scheduled so that we can have we can move forward on all in the same page.
And that's workshop, right?
That would be a workshop,
got it.
and it's a separate workshop from the rules and operations workshop that we need to make up. That got canceled, that
Got it.
I'd also love to have a report on.
All right, that's coming. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, Beth, you want to go ahead with the organization?
Actually, the one thing because I can't type right now, I did add to my work plan, that Sharon and I discussed getting tote bags, some kind of promotional swag for Small Business Saturday. You know, Main Street, Taneytown.
Yep.
And it cost that with around $350. I forget the numbers. But Sharon and I were working on that, we just got some basic numbers, but we would design a bag to have them printed. It wouldn't just be for Small Business Saturday, we would have them for other events. But that would be like the kickoff. But everybody's going to non-paper, non-plastic now, so you have a canvas bag. Because we used to hand them out when we had the American Express bags. Yeah, that's how I got the idea. I came across one in the store one day.
Yeah.
So, that, and then as far as Facebook goes, I again, I talked about how quickly and where events should come from. I will say that as soon as I posted my event for last Saturday, he got right out there on the Main Street page. But if you look at my event compared to what we have, I have pictures of the weaver that came in and things like that. So we need to make our more robust post. No, I don't think, and we can share things about our businesses on that page to get interest in Main Street, but we need to be careful about how much we share. I mean, like my Rush page had a Happy Mother's Day thing. We don't need to put that on the Taneytown page, now my personal one, or my partner getting married.
Right.
But that's important to Rush customers.
Right.
Those things, but we need to figure out how to make our advertising on social media more robust. And I'm going to work on getting the Instagram up and running and then get guys to show me how to get that to link to Facebook. So whatever post on Facebook goes right to Instagram. So we're not going double work. And then, like I said, I pulled together the information on the Taneytown record. the last 2 invoices we paid. I'm prepared to talk about that when we have our budget meeting, so we have a baseline. And then as far as our monthly financial reports, I'm still waiting for Jay to send me the spreadsheet so I can update it and show him how to save it so we have more detail.
What time frame was that for?
As soon as I get that, I mean, I gotta have it before this meeting. As soon as he sends me the file back, because I can take the file I have.
That was for this past month?
That was really our
That was-
our last meeting, Jay and I talked. I think that he couldn't get the roll forward, well, there's a step missing, but I can go in and eliminate that step, but with additional instructions on saving it.
Is there anything you need from any of us to
No.
get that report over? It just needs to happen.
Do you just mean the spreadsheet, or you're looking for also other information,
I
right?
know, I just need the spreadsheet.
Oh, I apologize. I thought you were looking for additional information.
No,
I
I just
can
need the
send that
spreadsheet
before I
for
stand up from
today,
here.
And then, I mean, I can do it for what
apologize,
I
I
have, but you
misunderstood
have
what
to
I was asking.
re-enter that information.
Okay.
So, and that's about it right now.
Okay. I saw something with organization. I saw on the Facebook that the city had on, I think it was on Taneytown Connect, and it was putting out that there was, they were looking for volunteers for specific things, or if there's positions open and available, and I did not know, Jay, but if you and Beth could coordinate with Jim a little bit and see again, since our website's not up yet for Main Street, if there's a way for us to put out that push for volunteers, if people can get onto Taneytown Connect and click on a link to go volunteer for other things with the city, I don't know why there can't be a page on there where they could say, oh, well, here's our different committees that need volunteers, or if Stephanie said, hey, we're having this event coming up in 3 weeks. We need volunteers for this and would love to have you, that the city couldn't put that on there so they could click it and it could go right to where Stephanie could see it and be like, hey, here's a volunteer pool. Because it looks like it's already available.
Yeah, we should be seeking a design committee chair.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
as they're putting out requests for
Yeah.
folks to chair on ethics boards and everything else, we should be able to put out that we're seeking a design committee chair.
And a job description of what that means, because that's,
So, and maybe, I'm jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves, but that can be on, we've got to go over a quick agenda today for city council. So when I go talk to council, things that we know are important, and that can, I think 100% that needs to go on there, that we're saying, hey, as a board, here's what the city can do to support us, and we need the council to be behind us on getting some of this information out so that we can do what we're trying to do. All right, who's up next? Economic vitality, Keith. On your card stack paper.
So we've already discussed the new businesses that are opening on Main Street. We have identified 6 more businesses with signage and/or canopies that are in need of replacement. We have also identified 6 more businesses that are not on the Taneytown website or are no longer in business and still on the website. And we are planning on developing a scoring sheet to determine which businesses are in the most need of help with getting their storefronts updated. And we will continue to evaluate businesses that need their signs or canopies replaced.
Can you please add Ryan Dollar Carriage House to the identified businesses not on the Taneytown
Absolutely,
website?
absolutely.
I don't
I
know how
haven't
we
gotten that far yet.
Continually get missed on maps and lists, but it happens.
Not anymore.
as far as the website itself goes, is this, so the website that you're looking at, is it the current website or the
Yes.
new website?
It's the current website.
Okay. So.
And that's not all of them, that's just how far
far
we
you've
have
gotten.
gotten as of now.
Do we have an ETA on the new website, Main Street website?
I will pledge to you now, on video before the whole world, that before we meet on July 31st, that website will be alive. Live.
So is there a way that, instead of Keith doing this project on a website that's going away, can he have access to the new website and do this on the website that will actually be replacing the other one? because it's kind of a waste of time.
Making sure the
Editing
two
a
of you are
website
coming together.
that is no longer operational for all
So
intents and
when,
purposes.
when you say the existing website, I'm pretty sure that Keith is looking at the ToneytownMD.gov website for the list of businesses there.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Not a Main Street website. There is not
So there
currently,
will still be both.
right.
So
There-
that-
so there's-
that will
that
still
will
exist.
always
this
be
is
there
not a waste
forever.
of time. That's
Right,
good
this
to
is
know.
not going away.
No, I mean, in all seriousness,
We are happy to report you have not.
because we get, you know,
was a good
we've got a
question.
lot of things
That was
happening.
it. It was, yeah, we.
I didn't think we had a website right now, so.
Okay, so one's not replacing the other. We're updating one
So
and
this is the
then.
Taneytown governmental website.
The dot, well, yeah, the
Not
.gov.
the, okay, because we need to be very clear and distinct about
That's
that.
the .gov website. That just means that then you get to look at the new one too.
Yes, and if that
Hopefully
could
the
be,
new one comes pre-updated and then.
we don't know.
We
none of us
don't
have seen
know.
it.
That's your job.
But I think it would be really great as, you know, to cross-reference what's on the MD.gov website versus what's on the Main Street website. And make
So,
sure that we've got everything that's in Main Street accounted for.
so can we submit this for things that need to be added to the website or not on the website? Who should we be submitting that to as a Main Street board for that to get
I'm
updated and
gonna
fixed?
open up an email, say Old Red Truck Ice Cream, 17.5 West Baltimore Street, whatever the phone number and other thing is. I'm going to say delete Firehouse Pottery and Arts, and then I'm gonna send it to Dan and IT.
Right, that's on
Want it to
the
go-
governmental website, but I think Brandy's
Oh.
referring to the Main Street website that's currently being built.
No, still the old one.
Oh, still
Still the
the-
old one,
still
because
the
these we can
government.
do now, right, on the .gov one, because these are active
Right.
and live.
Who is in charge of
Do we send them right to Dan?
proofing the new website?
Well, hang on a second. Hang on, that's a good question. But Dan,
The
are
city
we,
website is updated by Dan.
so do we have, so his IT information's online where,
I'm going to
can
send
get
these
to
to him. Oh,
Okay.
if Junior wants, he can. But typically what I do is I open the website.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure that I have all the information supplied that other businesses have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so address, phone number, website, category.
got
I
it.
think that
So
we
you
have,
you can get the information for each one of those businesses to Mish,
Okay.
and then you're gonna get them to Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan's gonna update the website. Okay. And then Sharon,
Who is proofing
would you like to be involved?
I would love to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Who is proofing the new ToneytownMainStreet.org website? I would be happy to proof that site as another pair of eyes
Mm-hmm.
for whoever is building that site.
I like it. All right, any other questions for economic vitality?
I do have a question. How are the businesses that we are identifying approached about these situations? Because this can be, are they approached and saying, hey, we've noticed your sign's getting a little worn, here's a way that we can help you replace it? Or is it, like, what's the approach is really what I'm trying to.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay,
That could be a question, I guess, for everybody's opinion
okay,
on how to best approach that.
great. I love that. That's a good idea. Okay.
Anything else? All right, clean, green, and safe.
All right, so we have had a big event since our last meeting. We had our very first Main Street cleanup that was affiliated with Keep America Beautiful. We've restored that relationship. And I apologize so the report that you have on the table in front of you is kind of a retrospective of what we've done in the past fiscal year. So looking at from January, when we really were able to start working, through June, I lost the June line on your report, so I will send a new copy to you because the June line actually has the digital link to the Keep America Beautiful report. Because all of this gets reported, it all gets put into our profile. So they keep record of, so as you see there, how many volunteers we had, how many how many acres we cleaned, how many public spaces we improved upon, how many plants we planted. You know, so all of that is included in that report for your review. So I think it's important to keep an electronic copy of all of this because you can see, you'll be able to see in the digital version where we have the checklist and the run of show and the press release and the action request forms and the Keep America Beautiful report all preserved so that when we do this again next time, we are not reinventing the wheel. We just have to update our material.
This is amazing.
So it was a really great event. We really, the one thing I regret is that we didn't get a before and after of the railroad tracks. Because though I had like gone on a run the morning of the cleanup to like kind of mentally prepare for like where we needed to go. And I looked at that railroad track and I was like, oh my gosh, this is huge. This is so much work. This is horrible. And we had a father and son duo that went down there and I mean, they must have removed 15 bags of trash from the railroad tracks. So it was really successful, the amount of just debris, trash, litter that we picked up. And then kind of as a nice, you know, as a nice little social aspect, everybody went back to the carriage house. We got pizza from No Anchovies. We served ice cream to kind of get everyone just together and celebrate what we had done. And everyone really enjoyed the event. We had 2 students who participated, who came for the, you know, the service learning hours, but we invited their families in, so they were able to participate in the social event as well. And everyone received a nice little certificate from Keep America Beautiful that said, thank you for participating, and we recognize your volunteer efforts. So really great event. Looking forward to the next fiscal year. I'm putting that into a separate document because we're not there yet. We don't know what we're budgeted for. I know that the calendar that went out included an August educational event. We don't have a date for that. I know there was a date on the calendar, but we don't have a budget for it. So we aren't quite sure what's happening with that until we have a budget and an approval. So holding on that. And then the other thing, so we had scheduled a safety walk with Taneytown Police Department. That has been postponed. I think when they were originally looking at the date, they just didn't realize that the city offices were going to be closed for Juneteenth. So that's why we decided to put that off a little bit. But the swag that we selected, because it was going to be during the day, it's in conjunction with crosswalk safety. They're like blinker lights. So they have the Taneytown Police Department logo on them. They're blue and white, and they're like backpack clips. So they blink. They can go on a cyclist backpack, a kid's backpack when they're walking home from school, to really help make folks visible in the crosswalks. So I know the police department was very happy with how they turned out. So that is our report.
All right. And then any
Curiosity,
questions
do
for
you have them, or
Stephanie?
does the police department have them?
The police department has them. Yep.
Any other questions for Stephanie? No? And my apologies. That was an amazing event, and I definitely was thinking it was like right there at the same time as our last meeting.
Yeah, it was like 3 days after.
So
Yep.
that was absolutely the huge event that was happening in between the two
Good stuff,
meetings.
good stuff.
Sorry.
That's the good stuff.
It also brought out Mr. Parker, who's in charge of leadership in the Taneytown Fire Department, came out and helped. And he and I had some really great conversations while we were cleaning up the planter and the parking lot, the City Hall parking lot area, about how to collaborate more with the fire department and how to bring the fire department kind of engaged on what's happening on Main Street and where we can pull volunteers potentially, maybe with junior volunteer firefighters. and
Civic organization connections.
Can bring other civic organizations together. And one of my committee members actually said, why can't can we get the fire department to come down and do their pit beef downtown instead of doing it on the outskirts, on the other end of town, and draw people in with, you know, something that they're doing on a monthly basis anyway? Can they set up in the City Hall parking lot and have their their monthly pit beef sale here instead of out, you know, a mile outside of downtown, and do it where they live? So these are some good conversation starters that also come out of those events.
Yeah, and visibility. I need to get with Trish from Blue Truck. She made us the T-shirts that the committee members were wearing, who were kind of like leading the teams. So we need to first thank her for those shirts, and then I need to get with her on an invoice. But just those shirts themselves made Main Street so visible. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who were like honking and waving and giving thumbs up and, seeing the big Main Street banner hanging from the tent. It was really a way to help make our organization and what we do visible, so.
Right, and then Main Street Manager,
I have a report from Lauren Weeprecht
oh, sorry.
for Arts and Entertainment.
Back up.
The committee met on June 11th. And Jean Burgess, who is a local author, was in attendance to discuss her idea to have an author stroll in Taneytown. And that idea was initially where the books and reading theme came from for May. And then they got separated. But she discussed with the committee, and the committee sort of thought that April 2025 is a good time to hold the event, to do it on the second Saturday and hopefully make it April for authors or something like that as a theme. But both Jean and the committee didn't feel like there was enough time to try to do it this year, given the constraints that everybody runs into in November and December, frankly. And Jean has a list of Carroll County and Maryland authors. So she wants to, the idea is to get 6, 10, 15, I don't know, merchants to participate, and then place an author in each store or merchant. So the idea is that if I'm an author, I would have a little 4 or 6 foot table there, whatever, with my books that you could come and buy, and maybe I would be signing them for you. If you place authors inside, this will encourage patrons to browse the merchant's wares, and if it rains, there won't be last-minute adjustments. Can the library set up, the library does a book sale every year of used books, and the suggestion was made that perhaps they can set up downtown and sell. What they would like, this is coming from Jean, what she hopes is that we would advertise and promote the event, provide street signage and balloons to help patrons find each merchant author couple, and a simple map for patrons to locate each merchant author. She hopes that participating merchants will promote the event via their own channels, possibly do an event special, like a discount pricing or a special deal, or a coupon for a future event. Provide floor space for the author to set up a table, for example, no larger than a 4-foot table with 1 chair. And she says some merchants may want to offer goodies, refreshments. But then what the authors would bring, they would prevent the event via their media channels. They would bring their books for direct sales. The authors would be responsible for handling all the sales and stuff, not the merchant. They would bring their own table and chair, and they'd be there 30 minutes before the event and must not tear down prior to the end of the event. And she's provided a list of possible Carroll County authors and their genres, so that perhaps a fantasy author would go into Laughing Coffin, and a retro author would go into Deja Vu because she's got, a lot of retro costumes and stuff. A Civil War author into Ambassadors and stuff like that. So the committee was really enthusiastic about that and very happy to have her there. And
Could there also be a mechanism, and I'm not asking you this question, I'm just throwing this out, could there be a mechanism for authors to apply, kind of an application process, so that we could?
Because that list may not be comprehensive. There may be
Yes.
additional authors.
And I know there's an author here in Taneytown who's published.
is it Joe Vigliotti? Because he's on our
No,
list.
it-
Okay.
Well, no, there's a woman that writes romance novels that lives in town.
There's also a man, his name is Mark Dantzler, and he writes children's books, and he's in town,
So that you know.
so.
Jean Burgess, Carolyn Siebolt, Dylan Snaman, Lois Szymanski, Karen Diem, Joe Vigliotti, Barbara Ringrose, Stephen Carney, Roberta Rooney are the Carroll County authors that she has
None of
listed.
them live in Taneytown.
And then, what's that?
I said, and Joe Vigliotti is the only local. There are authors in town that I think I would want to put
Sure,
at the
absolutely.
top of the list, because it's a Taneytown Main Street event. and then grow from there.
And then she also notes Flo McCann, Kevin Cowherd, C.K. Merklinger, Amy Burstein, and Marissa DeAngelo as Maryland or nearby county authors.
Freaking authors
And we could,
apply.
you know, the inn can do a reading. You know, we could have authors do readings and discussion, book discussion, kind of a salon type of maybe an evening event to increase.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, like we do kind of this with Small Business Saturday, but if we had almost like, in the snowball stand, we have just a punch card if somebody comes in and buys something.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yep, nope, that's part of it. Sorry. Committee discussed a passport type of idea, but in the form of a library card.
Yep.
Are you familiar, obviously, with the old library books? They all had the thing in the back. You would take the card out. Used to be when you checked a book out of the library, there wasn't a computer, so there was a little card, and you would write your name and the due date, and the library would keep that, and you took the book. And then they crossed off your name and put the card back into the book, so you could see which of your friends had used it. So those are apparently able to be bought on like eBay or Amazon. So buying those, and if you go to all the authors being entered to win a prize, is something that the community.
Well, and I was thinking too, even Main Street, pulling it in Main Street, so it's a Main Street author event. What if they came to everybody's different businesses and Stephanie had, you know, we could coordinate with Stephanie and there's people at the Rhine Dollar that day with their shops and not yours. They can help you work. But, you know, the gun store and Rust and the inn, if they come to any of these places and they're doing purchases, we could stamp each of those things. And my thought being that how is Main Street giving back? It's not always about what can you raise, it's about how are you giving back. But in the event that the authors are coming out and these people are supporting these businesses, being involved with the authors, what if Main Street then for every punch card that had X number of punches or was full, what if it had 3 punches? And if they were able to do that, our Main Street board could then decide that we would donate books back to the little free library.
Oh, I see.
And then the little free library is then pulled in so that we're really starting to touch a whole lot more people with these events instead of it just being, well, we had an author event.
And
And
this
now
is-
we've broken it out into authors and
And this is strategy.
businesses. And exactly.
This is
exactly.
strategizing. This is what each of these events can be.
Yeah.
Each month, if we sit together and we work together to come up with the ideas of
Yeah.
how to build
How
it
can they really connect?
and connect the dots. And this is where the success can happen in saying, well, I've got this and you've got that, and we can pull these different things together and really create something magical that people will want to come to. And
And making stuff, I want it to be accessible, I want it to be attainable. I think this is good, so Lauren will have the minutes from the meeting, obviously, but I'm gonna forward her some of this other stuff and let her know, you know, like, hey, the inn's on board, and here's kinda some ideas we had, and then we'll let her committee run with it and see how they can kinda connect all these dots, so that we're not taking it over, but we can certainly give her what we think, you know, helps, which is very, very cool. And then you've got, do you want to go ahead, do you have anything else on Lauren's report?
I do not.
Okay, so then going forward to your manager report into, we'll go ahead and address the canceled workshop meeting first.
Yeah. Stephanie's absence was the reason that the workshop was canceled.
I'm sorry, no.
Hold on.
I wasn't
Hold on,
done.
guys, and what I want to be very clear, I don't want anybody to be defensive or to feel like you have to justify yourself. You do not, and I know. You're right.
Just
I
say what
want
you're gonna
everybody
say,
be
and then I'm gonna
honest.
say what
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, say,
Because
exactly.
I'm about to, I'm
Nope,
very
nope,
professional, but I'm
we're-
about to lose it.
No.
Go ahead, Jay.
Stephanie.
I was going to say, I considered, and I talked with Brandy and I talked with the city manager, considered having it without your presence. But because you have been the leader and the mover and shaker with making the comments, that it felt as though almost we would be pulling a fast one on you or taking advantage of your absence to say, oh, she's had these ideas, but she's not here. We're going to kind of steamroll them. And so I didn't want to deprive you of the opportunity to participate.
Did it ever occur to you to pick up the phone and ask me how I felt about that?
No, because no is the answer.
That's the problem.
So hold on. So nobody knew necessarily that you were or weren't going to be at the meeting prior to.
Your email
prior
to me
right before the meeting.
said that it was a city decision.
And it was.
That's true. I decided.
But
It
nobody,
absolutely, it
You
absolutely
decided
was.
on your own to
So-
waste all of these people's time and make a decision 30 minutes before the meeting. If it was because of me, you knew when you crashed my committee meeting on Monday. You knew that I was going out of town. So why would you not have said on Monday, we would like to postpone this meeting because I just learned that Stephanie is going to be on vacation? No, you chose to wait until 30 minutes before this meeting, before that meeting was scheduled, and wasted all of these people's time. So you do not blame this on me.
I didn't mean to blame it on you. I meant to explain it. I apologize by starting by saying it was canceled because Stephanie wasn't there. That was not a tactful way to begin. And what I should have said was, I didn't want to proceed without your active participation.
And you know what?
apologize
I
for starting
talked
that.
to many people on this board, and everyone would have been confident without me there because I had provided such robust notes. Because I, on my vacation, prepared Mark to come to that meeting. Because that's our rule, right? We can always have someone from our committee sit in.
For our board meetings.
Actually, no, I want to.
There is no precedent for a workshop.
I want
Hang
to, I
on,
want to
this is-
clarify.
yeah, The city
Oh, no,
feels
give me one moment,
strongly
ma'am.
about this, so I at least
No, no.
want you to know where they're coming from.
It was an error on my part when you were not at a board meeting to allow somebody to sit in your chair. The initial idea was that because Dr. Tate wasn't going to be available to be here when he was the design chair, but we still hoped that he could be on the board, that somebody from his committee could come and give a committee report and answer questions. People are not interchangeable in a democratic system. You were nominated by the mayor at my request and confirmed by the council, and so nobody else can cast your vote or I guess do your role. And imagine if Lauren Weeprick's husband wanted to go and speak for her. I think
Providing a
everybody would
report,
see.
I don't care.
Hold on.
I think that people would obviously say, well, that's not the member. Jim Weeprick isn't the member of the board. And so I am disappointed that my efforts to ensure that you were heard have provoked such a response. We have been,
Sharon
I'm not done yet.
left her daughter.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is being recorded.
Please stop. Hang on.
I think that the city has.
Hang
al-
on, Jay.
oh, mhm.
You've apologized. Is there anything else you need to say? At this point?
No,
Okay.
so, and
We're gonna keep them short and sweet. Because again,
As-
we're not attacking, and we are professional, and it will be respectful, but is there anything quickly
as
you
I
would like to
stated
say?
in my email, had the board, this was a board meeting and this was a board decision. We need to discuss
You're talking about the workshop? or
I'm talking about the
board meeting?
workshop. We need to
Okay.
discuss among these board members, who and what we are. If we're going to work together, then we need to know that we've got a chairperson who will fight for us, and that you will stand up for us and say, no, let me talk to my board, instead of being told by the city what we will do or not do. And I'm saying this to help grow what we are doing, because what we need is, clearly, this board is not respected by the city government. We need to know that the job that we are doing is going to go somewhere, or else
Okay.
there is no need
So-
to be sitting here and spending our time and volunteering and money and whatever else and whatever angst we have to try and make this town better. So I got that email and I shook. I was so angry. I left Massachusetts on Wednesday to be here on Thursday to attend that meeting. So I drove 8 hours to get back here, so I knew I would be here. Other people left work. Other people drove.
Right.
Other people made plans. Other people changed their plans because it was that important to us that we be here. And Stephanie's notes were so good that I had no problem whatsoever. She was the one who created those notes. I was one of the people that
So
put
my
my notes
bigger-
in.
right, my
And we
bigger-
were
my bigger
able to
piece-
go through, and we were able to have that meeting and create something that could be presented to the rest of the board because we were working on a document online. And there was no problem whatsoever that any of us would have had we been asked to proceed with that meeting and get that done, because without that document, we don't even have rules of engagement right now. We have no,
Again, we're getting into more stuff than we're gonna talk about for a canceled workshop. But what I feel like is that if it was already known, I didn't find out that you weren't gonna be able to be there until right before when we emailed. I would tell you that if it was already known Monday that it wasn't gonna happen, I wish that the board had known on Monday, and I'm not gonna lay that at anybody's feet. I'm just gonna say that I wish I had known, because that would have influenced a little bit more, Sharon, when you say, hey, you need to fight for this or not fight for this. With the correct information, I would tell you that is always gonna happen in
So-
favor of this board.
Lauren's not here. Why are we meeting?
So we did discuss as a board, we did months ago, we did decide that if she could turn her reports in, that it could be reported by someone else on the board or the city manager for any individual. So I understand.
So I turned my report in,
I
all of my
understand.
comprehensive notes.
Right,
yes.
I hear-
And that meeting
right.
should have happened.
That
And
meeting
this is-
should have happened.
okay.
But this is.
So
part
now
of
saying,
the-
hang on, saying that the meeting should happen, we've now addressed that the workshop was canceled. We've addressed why we feel like it was canceled, good, bad, or other. I think we've touched on it. I think we understand it's important, and our role at this point is to reschedule it. Reschedule it, not cancel it, and we move forward from this.
I need to make one more comment about communications, because the crux of all of this is a lack of communication.
Okay.
And that is where we get into the most trouble, because you didn't have all the facts.
Right.
You couldn't stand up for us, because somebody didn't make a decision until 25 minutes before, or 35 minutes before a meeting was supposed to happen. And we weren't, and it was not communicated. We couldn't make our decisions about our lives and our time schedules.
Complete
and our
disrespect.
use of time. So there needs to be clear and consistent communication. Agreed.
I found out seeing out with my
You
city
found
hall
out
in my
right-
car.
yeah, I was gonna say, you found out right about seeing
I
come out
had a
in.
conference call with my doctor about, my kinky scan on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
I rushed out the house. I was gonna be a few minutes late, but I was gonna be, so I sat out in front, and there's nobody around, so I opened my email, oh, it's canceled. Then I get out there for another half hour, looking at the dead hanging baskets, trying to get back out
Okay,
in
hold on,
traffic.
hold on, okay. I'm
Trying
gonna
to
let
back out
it,
in
guys,
traffic
we're gonna,
again.
hey, guys, we're gonna bring it in.
Okay.
And we're not gonna branch.
I would like to say,
Right.
I
don't want us
would like
branch
to
into other
apologize
stuff.
to each of you, because it is extremely unfortunate that that happened. And if I had known that a decision was going to be made to cancel that meeting, I would have contacted each one of you ahead of time and said, please don't cancel this meeting because of me. I would have done that. So I am sorry that this happened. I'm sorry for your wasted time, because your time is valuable. But I am also concerned that I am a convenient scapegoat in this scenario.
Which is why, right, I wanted to make sure that this didn't lay at anyone's feet here. That is really important to me, and I think it's important.
It lays at the feet of the person who canceled the meeting.
I think, and it does, and I don't think that anybody, I don't think anybody here disputes it.
Okay,
I
I'm
think you're
done. I'm
correct
done.
that, yeah, I think you're correct that, I think you're correct. We're gonna jump down to, when we hit other business, we're gonna look at dates. So don't think that I'm missing, don't think I'm missing that meeting.
We also need to
By doing
schedule
this.
the strategic planning workshop as well.
Yep.
I think we need to schedule both.
Yep, all right. Jay, do you want to go into the Consolidated Building and Improvement Program?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second. Consolidated Building Improvement Program, which was born from the facade improvement program. The city will reimburse people up to 50% of the money they spend on exterior renovations to a building, up to 75% for interior renovations to make a commercial building more usable or one that was unusable, usable, and so on and so forth. It is money that comes from the Community Legacy Fund. I know that some people thought that it was Main Street money, limited to Main Street. It is available to any property in the sustainable community area, which stretches out certainly to Roberts Mill Road, past Franklin Street somewhere, and then down to the Tannery Barn, I think, out just on West Baltimore Street to the edge of the Memorial Park. And then on East Baltimore Street stops around Grand Drive. So any business or homeowner in those areas is eligible to apply. Applications are open until Friday, July 5th, I believe at 4 p.m. They are available on the city website. It has been put out on the city website on the Main Street. It is on the city website. It's been put out on the city Facebook. It's been put out on the Main Street Facebook. I think elected officials have shared it. And I am hopeful that people will apply and take advantage of it and get some work done.
Can
Yes.
I ask a few questions on it? What is the total amount available in the fund?
$50,000. There's a small chance it'll be $64,000 if a previous awardee says that they are not able to do their project that they got $14,000 for in the previous year.
And if the deadline is 7/5, what is the deadline for having the work complete? Is there a work completion deadline?
June 30, 2025.
You have to have that work planned already? You know, let's say I got a new roof put on a building and now I want to come back and get it reimbursed.
So
Or is the
you
work
are
have to-
in iffy territory because the work needs to be improved by the Maryland Historical Trust. The state of Maryland subscribes to the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Renovation, Rehabilitation. It's a nationwide standard, and it has to do with not eliminating historic features. So if you had deteriorating wooden, like around your,
Like a
like
post and
gingerbread.
you wanted to replace it with fiberglass, they're
They
gonna
would say no. Right.
So
So the
this
state,
is a historical trust renovation grant, okay.
the money doesn't come through the historical trust, but they subscribe to the historical trust guidelines.
Okay. Anything else? No, those were the big
Okay.
questions.
Treasurer report?
Yeah. We were asked previously about what the $668.90 change was in the month of April. $50 were in Community Foundation of Carroll County administrative fees and $618.90 for the second Saturday map and flyer design. In the last month, we have spent $145.54, all on second Saturday, and I'm happy to provide the breakdown with the next minutes if anybody wants them.
And you're gonna get that to Beth.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Okay. All right, other business, looking at agenda items for the city council meeting that's coming up, what would you guys like to see overall be presented when I go to that meeting?
I think our budget is probably the top of mind thing, because we don't, it's June
All I
30th.
could present to them at this point is that we're workshopping to create that budget. And we had the tentative one, but it's nothing that our board has met on. We can't turn a budget into them yet.
Okay, I guess I'm still not sure why we need to send them a budget for money that's ours to spend, so that's
It's
just,
in
that's a
there.
whole
It's
nother
in the city
conversation.
code. Yeah, it's in the city code, so right now we're bound.
I think the Open Meetings Act related to our committee meetings, I know that's an outstanding item with the city attorney.
Yep. So I asked them for an update on that. Budget, maybe we can bring up the budget and ask them, what are we doing with the budget in the event that we haven't been able to workshop that out yet? What is the backup plan for how they hold that? Like, is it that a blanket amount is approved and that we submit to them a budget after the start of the July 1st fiscal year.
When is the city council meeting?
The city council in July is holding a combined workshop voting meeting on July 8th, to the best of my knowledge.
Is this the meeting that you're attending, July 8th?
Yeah, because we held off on the July 30th one to get past that workshop. But I don't want to push it off past the July 8th one. I'd rather go and get some answers to some of this stuff and then get a plan in place. And then we can attend more than 4 of these a year if you guys feel like I need to. But 4 is just our minimum.
One of the things that I wanted to ask is, or ask this group how you feel, I really do believe that based on the last city council meeting where we were accused of doing things that we hadn't done, that we really do need to have somebody representing this group attend those city council meetings so that we can get up and speak on behalf of this group.
We do, so that's our quarterly one.
No, and
We do it, yeah, we speak, I speak.
May I
Well,
finish
sort of.
my thought? I'm talking about having somebody in the audience at every meeting so that if something comes up or a question comes up, one of us can be there to speak on behalf of this group and communicate the accurate information about what may or may not have happened in one of these meetings or discussions. We were basically accused by a high city official of relinquishing our duties. And nobody was here to correct that or speak on our behalf. So I think it's imperative in the current state of affairs in this community that we have somebody present who is authorized, if you will, maybe that's too strong a word, to speak on behalf of what Main Street is doing.
That would be me.
So
That is my position.
I think that attending
So attending every single one.
all the council, I think that is part of a chairperson's
Right.
job is to
So
be,
my job is to attend
Again.
4. We attend quarterly. That is our requirement. For this board, that is the requirement.
that is a minimum requirement.
That is the
yes.
minimum requirement. So if time allows and I can attend more, I certainly will. In the event I cannot, I typically try to watch every single one of them prior to this board meeting again so that we can address those things. And it may not be addressed in public comment at a meeting, but it certainly gets addressed. And it will be addressed publicly at this next board meeting. So I would say things don't always happen on the timeline that we want them. And it may be that we all have to sit on our hands for 30 days till we meet as a board and get to that next meeting, because that gives us the opportunity to, I don't go into those meetings and just say what I want. I go into
understand
those
that.
meetings and I have already discussed with this board how we collectively feel about something. So I'm not gonna go on the defensive and go into those meetings and say, hey, this is what our board did, and this is incorrect. What we're gonna do is come together as a board, and we're gonna say, hey, we saw your meeting, we got together as a board, and here are the things that we're coming back to you with.
I don't know that we have that kind of time.
And
honestly.
we're gonna make it. For what it's worth, we're going to make it, because that's the way that process works.
Well,
I don't work autonomously without this board. So,
Authorizing someone to say, when you hear an inaccuracy at a public meeting, we were not able to stand up in public comment and say, excuse me, this is what actually happened for the record. I have, as a leader of a group, that is absolutely the chairperson's job.
it absolutely
To
is.
stand up and make sure that we are being represented properly and accurately in the community. Waiting 30 days to correct something that is going to
Not
take
waiting
another 30 days.
Not waiting 30 days necessarily to
We're
correct
talking
it.
months of not having accurate information being out in the community.
No, we are not. It is corrected directly after a meeting in the event that information, that whoever has seen it. Now, the last meeting, I wasn't privy to the last meeting. I didn't watch it. I didn't have time to watch it. I didn't see it. I heard from other people that things were happening, but then no member of the board contacted me as the chairperson, either in the 4-person, to say, hey, we heard inaccuracies. We need you to address these. And that's what I need from this board. That's my request to you guys, that if you see it and you hear it and you think that it's something that I don't know yet, make sure you pass that information along, because then it gets addressed
Well,
immediately.
and this is why these workshops are so important. Because without having these rules of engagement and operational guidelines spelled out and a strategic plan spelled out, it's very hard for that, to know what the rules are, because we haven't decided what the rules are. So as I sit here and I make these comments, it's frustrating because we are losing valuable time in this community every day that we don't do these things. We are wasting time.
Well, does
and
anybody,
don't-
is everybody on board with that being the plan? That if there's something that you guys are noticing, because it does happen, I'm gonna tell you that sometimes I'm the very last one to hear it, and I know that everybody is talking, or I might see Lauren next door because we work next door to each other, but I may not see Junior for weeks because we're both in different places. But like Stephanie said earlier, really making it that easy and picking up the phone or shooting an email over and saying, hey, we need your support, here's what happened. Help us figure out a plan for how to fix whatever it is that just happened. I want us to have that running, because I absolutely am that person. I'm your person that goes and represents this board at those meetings, and I am that person that takes your information and fixes those inaccuracies in the event that we hear them.
I think it's a bare minimum, and we're out there giving our all and spending lots of time and pushing through things, and I think attending a meeting a month is not a lot to ask.
I would tell you that I will attend the 4 that I signed on to. I run a lot of businesses, and we're pulling 18-hour days right now with our businesses, to give you an idea.
We all do.
So,
Yeah, that's,
I hear you, but I won't be home tonight.
Jobs, 4 boards. You
Yeah.
wanna go? Let's go.
I won't be home
I have another
tonight
meeting at
until,
noon,
I won't be
so-
home tonight until after midnight. And I don't say this lightly, because
We're
I'm
busy.
pretty humble about the business that we do and the work that we do. But what I will tell you is that being railroaded into a different chair position than the one that I signed up for isn't gonna happen, let alone from a board member.
Well,
So what I would tell you is I will do,
can the rest
let
of
me
us
talk.
come and attend
Let
in
me
your
talk.
stead and
Let me
speak
talk.
on behalf?
No,
That's what I'm asking.
the answer is no.
Then why are we bothering?
So what I will do is what I promised to this board and this city that I will do. That is what I signed up for, because I knew that I had the appropriate amount of time to dedicate to that. So I have already said that in the event that I have the time to attend more than that, I certainly will do so.
But
But
let-
it
let
is
me-
because I have found the time to do that.
let me just read back what you just said. None of us are allowed to attend and speak on behalf of the board.
No. You may have public comment, and you.
Thank you for the utter disrespect.
This is not disrespect. This is saying, as your chairperson, this is what I'm authorized to do.
We don't have any authorization because we have no rules.
We have no bylaws.
Ladies,
There actually isn't anything in rules because we have not decided on what they are yet.
so in the event you don't let your chair speak, that's what I find the most disrespectful of all at this very time. That's truly what I find the most disrespectful. So this is like herding cats. Okay? I'm watching you guys run in 4 or 5 different directions all the time, and I'm okay with that. But being able to bring you back in so that we are working as one cohesive group isn't a great chair to sit in. So when you're telling me that you're gonna take what this chair is and try to run in these different directions again, you're not getting further ahead. You're not being strategic, you're not being helpful, and you're certainly not being respectful. So what I would tell you is my job for this board is to go in front of that council and bring up what you think is important, which I told you I will do, and I have done. In the event that I am not able to attend one of those meetings, or you guys hear information that is incorrect or needs to be addressed, yes, it is your job then to bring it back to your board. Get me the information. In the event you can handle that, I can take care of those issues and work with the city to make sure that they're addressed promptly. If I don't have the information, I can't bring anything forward. I don't even know that it exists. So if we're being strategic about it, that's our strategic plan in that situation. Now, are you prevented from attending a council meeting? Absolutely, you are not. You can attend as many council meetings as you would like. As far as speaking on behalf of this board, no, you may not. You may speak on behalf of yourself You may speak on behalf of your business. You may speak on behalf of your community. But what you may not do is speak on behalf of every member of this board sitting in front of you because you felt like it. So, without putting words into my mouth, that is what this board does, and that is the position that I'm in.
Then get on with it. Then get on with it.
There is no public comment yet. I hear you. At public comment, you can
So
speak.
let me also correct, since we're correcting, you said that you have 5 people running in different directions.
And we do.
We have 5 people running in one direction and 2 people that are not on the same page.
Be specific.
The people who sit in these chairs are sitting in these chairs because we are working hard for the betterment of this town. And then we have people who make decisions without talking to anyone that impact the work that the 5 of us have agreed to. So we are not running in 5 different directions.
You have 5 committees that have different goals. When
That's
I
because they're
say-
5 committees. I don't expect Junior to go out
And you're
do
correct.
clean, green, and stuff. Clean,
You're
green, and
correct,
stuff.
but again, this isn't a defensive thing, and I don't feel like anybody needs to correct anybody. What I'm saying to you is that you guys all have separate goals, and you've got different things, and yes, you are correct. At the end of the day, we all have one big goal, and that's to make Main Street better. That's to make the outliers of Main Street better. But how that's not gonna happen is acting like we're a bunch of toddlers, yelling and being rude to each other and being, it's just not gonna happen. It's just simply not. But I can tell you that you're right. It's happened on a lot of levels on this board and in the council boards. People get disrespectful. So again, as your chair, one of my jobs is to make sure that we stop this right when it starts, and that's not happening, and you're not attacking each other, and that it's not coming down to one person. If somebody owns
But
something.
it did. But it did.
And I would tell you.
I have to go to work. I have a job.
What I'm trying to say is we need somebody who will stand up for us and represent us every meeting. And we will discuss when we finally have our workshop that in those rules, that can be changed.
And for now, this is what we have. So when we get into those meetings, we can discuss it, and we can look if that's something that we want to do or it's correct to do.
That
And
we
I do
have
agree that
someone
it's
have our
important.
back.
But right now, in the event that we do not have someone there, there's no reason that this board, who clearly already knew that there were issues, couldn't have come to the chair and said, hey, here's an issue, let's make sure we work on it. So let's just make sure that we do that so that we can get all this information flowing. If I have a promotion question from somebody, I'm not holding it to myself and going to Jay or Beth. I'm coming to you because you are the funnel for that. You are the point person. Let me be your point person.
Absolutely. My question was had a completely different direction about supporting us in public at meetings as in the moment so that information could be correct and accurate as it's delivered to the citizens of this community.
And the problem, I think, sometimes comes that it's subjective, which is why I like that it comes back before this board, whether that's during a meeting or prior to a meeting. I think that's very, very important. Looking at other business, we need to look at our chair stand-ins. So that was something we were going to address at our workshop. I think it's important that we go ahead and pick our people for those dates. In the event that I am unable to be your chair between now and October, who is willing to take each of these meeting dates as the chair stand-in? Does anybody want July 31st?
Sure.
August 28th?
Do we get a training crash course before that?
You just got it.
Welcome to the club, man.
Who wants this chair?
After today, definitely don't want that.
August 28th? September 25th?
I think I'm the only one left.
And I think, we have the next 3 months figured out. If we don't
Well, they're the three, but I want to make sure that
Sure.
we've got them, because it's an easy, this one's an
Nope.
easy question. This is not asking somebody to take over the world. It's making sure that in the event I say,
I know.
hey, I'm unable to make the meeting, now we have it in place, who sits in this chair to make sure the meeting still happens and doesn't get canceled.
We don't have Lauren, we don't have Stephanie, so I don't want to, you know what I mean? We can't
That's okay,
volunteer
because these will
them.
just go forward, right? Yeah, these will go forward. We're gonna leave October 30th blank for now. One, because it's Halloween weekend, and I want to make sure that our meeting isn't, that there aren't people that aren't gonna be able to be here, or we've got other obligations, because there's a lot, that's just a lot going on for a holiday weekend. So we'll make sure that looks okay. New workshop meeting dates. Do we want to go ahead and look at our new workshop meeting dates? We're going to do one for strategic planning, we're going to have one for budget, and we're going to have one for operations.
Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday are my best days.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. How's everybody's second week of July looking, the 8th to the 10th? Fine. How's yours look, Beth?
I cannot do the 10th. I have a board meeting already scheduled.
During time of day. I have physical therapy that week. And I only schedule one, so.
Or do we want to do this? Do you want me to send an email to you guys so that we can get Lauren and Stephanie both also in this? Because I want to make sure everybody's schedules look okay, and then that way we're not airing out everybody's personal schedules while we're.
Yeah, that's fine.
Doing it privately would be best.
Okay. My intention is to have 3 separate meetings right now at this time. 1 for operations, 2 for the budget, and 3 for strategic planning. Sharon, my soul tells me to scoot yours up because I know it's important, but I feel like we need to get the operations one out of the way and we need to get the budget one out of the way. And in the event either of those goes very smoothly and is short, we can start working on the strategic planning one early during one of those if time is
We'll need time
fitting.
to find a facilitator for the strategic planning meeting, because that is not something that we do ourselves. That is something that engages a third-party facilitator.
And we had looked at it, I know we
run.
had looked at, right, we had looked at that being a way to do it.
Yes.
I don't know how everybody feels about that yet, so we can talk about that during one of our first 2.
We can discuss.
And make
that.
sure, right, make sure everybody's on board.
That is what a strategic planning meeting is.
Got it.
If we don't want to do it that way, then we're having another kind of meeting.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any public comments?
Before we get to public comment, I don't know, Mr. Stevenson, if you want to speak, under new businesses, we've been getting some questions about 1 Frederick Street, and Dr. Stevenson said that perhaps we should talk to the actual proprietor, by whom I assume she meant you. So if you have anything to put into the public record, or for people about businesses going into 1 Frederick Street, I think that we would all be really excited to hear it.
Well, I guess, I mean, been nice to know that you guys wanted to hear that, but,
And we did say earlier when we were
no,
talking,
it's-
yeah, we were talking, and in the event you want to do an update now, it's fine. If you do not,
That's
that's
fine.
fine
No,
too.
it's
And
fine.
we can give you time to,
no, we're good,
work on
we're
it.
good. So we were pushing for a July 4th weekend opening, but because the building is old and I don't own it, we haven't had the luxury of gutting the thing and doing everything, the way it should be done. We had some water problems with the apartments upstairs, which kind of destroyed our downstairs bathroom and some of the ceiling in the back room. So we've been rebuilding that, and we're probably about 5 weeks out, I guess, to give a good estimate. It's hard to get contractors scheduled these days. Everybody's so busy, but we've got a nice new acoustic room on the stage. We're taking the opportunity to update the bathroom with some more modern ADA fixtures. It was already compliant, but they were kind of dated, so we're going to put some new stuff in there. Still, as far as the concept, it's still going to be coffee and ice cream, but because of modern technology and the fact that we do have a half kitchen back there, it looks like we're going to be able to offer quite a bit of a cafe-style menu. So it's going to become more of more than just the coffee ice cream hangout. There's also going to be an opportunity for a decent sit down, small plate kind of thing. So that's about all I got, I guess. So, all right.
Thank you. Then that one, just a quick side note, Mark, when you guys think you've got your opening date pretty nailed down, just talk to Sharon was my point, because I want to make sure that with it being Main Street, that it's promoted the way that it should be promoted prior to.
Right. Well, we'll also do our own promotion, but I appreciate it. While we're still talking about the new businesses, I need to know what are you guys doing in the parking lot? Because we have an address that GPS brings people, the $9 address, we're going to be trying to probably change at the post office to make it a Church Street address, because GPS brings that
them
address
to
right
our
to your
ad- brings
parking
them
lot.
to our lot.
So you got something permanent going in there, right? Okay. So we're going to work with the post office to try and, fix that problem. I don't know why it's got a Baltimore address anyway. I guess at some point, because there was the flower shop or whatever was in there. I don't know. Still trying to figure out why they do things the way they do. Is this also the public comment? Or are we still in the?
Would you like to move into public comment?
Yeah, we can go right into public comment.
Okay, so, Mark, 9 York Street. Look, guys, you guys are doing a great job, okay? All the back and forth and whatnot, it's tense because people are putting a lot of time in it, all right? But you guys are doing a great job. It's a lot to sort out, and because it's not been done properly, it's a lot to sort out. I'll just say this, don't emulate the city council. Don't emulate the city council, all right? Because it's laughable watching those things. And I'll just say too, a comment on your representation in meetings concerning the comments that were made. There's plenty of people in the public who can speak up, who know what's going on. So whether or not there's a board member at the meeting or not, I think if you can try and do that, great, but life is busy. It's hard to do. It's nice that all of the meetings are televised now or YouTubed or whatever. But the general public, there's enough people that are involved in Main Street and downtown businesses and this and that if something's really out of line, it'll be said. It'll be said. That particular comment did get some pushback from a member of the city council who knows what's going on, okay? So I don't think you guys should have to feel like you're in a position where you have to worry about defending yourselves at the city council meeting all the time, because I do think that there's enough critical mass of people who aren't afraid to stand up for the positive stuff that's happening.
If I may just say, I think
This is public I'm just kidding, go ahead.
that when we are on the agenda, when
Yes,
there's when
yeah,
there is
I'd
something
agree with
happening
that.
on a city council agenda, that we need to have somebody, preferably the chair, present in order to be ready to make comment should that discussion need clarification of what we're actually doing. That is really where that idea came out of. There was an item on the agenda that directly impacted the work of this board, and nobody was here representing this board to help shed light, clarify anything. And that is where.
Was Jim at that meeting?
That, just to that point though, that particular comment, it got addressed with that particular person by several people, people on the council, people who are not on the council. He knew exactly what he did and he got called out on it, all right? Maybe it was a good thing that it didn't get too crazy publicly, because it's really not about embarrassing people, but sometimes that's gonna happen. If you're putting the right foot forward, you don't have to worry about it. But you guys are doing a great job. There is progress, and this is a hairy situation because it's really not you guys. That's the problem here, okay? It's the whole structure. It's the city council. It's Jay being involved. It's Jim being involved. I mean, not to a limited degree, but a controlling degree, and that's where all this communication problem is happening. You're learning, man. This is some crazy stuff, but you're doing a great job too, man. I mean, looking at the buildings and the signage and all that, that really is what people notice when they're driving through. And anytime there's something new or it's different, people notice it right away.
Right.
And it's great. And by the way, you and your dad did a great job with the repointing of the hotel too. The way they blended it blended in the mortar, that was beautiful. Anyway, that's all my public comments, but you guys just keep the faith. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Thank you. Thank you for your time, of course. Paul Cluth, resident of Taneytown and a retail business owner in Main Street. My purpose when I make remarks is, of course, to provide positive feedback or honest feedback to the board and the Main Street manager. And I try to be very uplifting most of the time, even though as a business owner in Main Street and concerned about Main Street, you know, I have frustrations and I want to see the revitalization take place sooner than later. Anyway, so the Green and Clean Saturday was really special, and I'm sorry that Stephanie couldn't hear that from me personally, as well as the participation of Main Street in the parade. That was really special. And so those are just such positive things, and the community is taking note. Sidewalk chalk drawing participation for those Saturdays is about zero, unfortunately. And now during the summer, the sidewalks are going to be probably too hot to draw on anyway. But the other themes can be good if they're advertised and promoted well in advance. For example, the recent flower arranging may actually be a good idea for the future. My only comment was that the glass vases seemed to be a little bit too small for the flowers to all fit in there if they went to every store that had them available. And just to give you a little more personal touch, so I did have 5 customers come in for their flowers to put into the vase that they had gotten at Red Truck. And it was very nice back and forth with those customers. Some of those customers did walk through the store, and some did purchase. So it was very positive. Of course, I would have loved to seen a lot more, but then you had another major activity going on at the park that particular Saturday. So anyway, I have a question for Keith, if I may. Have you been able to identify the properties that may have actual code violations?
We have not done that yet. That has not been on our work plan, but I will definitely take note of that.
I mean, I'm thinking that's good information for the board to consider. Now, whether those codes can actually ever be enforced by the city, you know, that's a totally different issue. But, you know, certainly the aesthetics, the curb appeal of all our storefronts and businesses in town, you know, that's a key to part of the revitalization. So I think that your efforts are going to be really important as part of the committee. So my hat is off to you. It's a very big challenge. And, but, you know, continue, because I think your work is real important for Main Street. Needless to say, the white flower baskets were a disappointment. I would like to suggest that Main Street funds not be used to pay for those particular flowers. Let the city pick up the tab for that. I don't think Main Street should pay for something that didn't work out so well. And just as a side note, I did go out and purchase from Cedar Hedge a regular flower basket. And those flower baskets that they provided in the past were really good. And they held up and they lasted through the season. They didn't dry out. It costs me $40, just to let you know, but those flower baskets can run up to about $50. And what I can also tell you is Cedar Hedge may not have the flowers at this time now to fill in those other flower baskets if they're purchased. So just an FYI, they may not have the flowers to provide for those baskets, even though they have the hangers and whatnot.
Paul, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to move through public comment, not to rush you, but we're at about the 5-minute mark.
I know, please give me time just to run through a couple other real quick things. FYI, postage for mailing a newspaper in town to all the addresses at 21787 is about 20 cents per addressee. That's where you get to about the $1,000 price tag, for each issue that the city has incurred. That doesn't include publishing costs. That's a totally different animal. The dance studio does have challenges at drop-off time, especially during rush hour with their children. It's not the safest situation by all means, but it is what it is. So, they're not really happy with that situation entirely. I want to let you know that I attended another committee organization meeting yesterday. A well-respected business owner commented, to my surprise, and asked, does Main Street have any goals or strategy as to what they want to achieve? So, obviously a strategic plan is really important. Whether you make it very sophisticated or you make it simple, it doesn't matter. So I want to encourage you to keep that going. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day.
There's no more public comment. All in favor of adjourning?
Make a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Will we go back and approve the minutes from the last meeting at the next meeting?
We will.
So that doesn't get lost.
Yeah. Are you making notes on that, Misha? Thanks. That way we can have Stephanie weigh in too, since I know she hadn't seen them. All right,
So I'm sorry, who
Can I
seconded
have
the
a
motion?
motion?
Oh.
okay. Have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So adjourned.